Hello everyone. A request was made to showcase the workflow to create those glow and scribbles that we did in class using the paint tool. And I'm going to put a short video together to show you how to do that. So in class we used that clip that I showcased of the skater. I'm going to create a composition with it. And I'm just going to scrub through it really quick up to the point where I will want to start working, which is around here where the skater takes off to jump over that gap. Now when he lands on the other side, we added that little explosion under the skateboard, and that was it. So I have honed in on the area of the video where I want to create the effect, which is right before he takes off around here, and then where he lands on the other side. So to create this effect, I am going to make a copy of the layer, and I am going to trim it to that point where it starts and where he lands on the other side, which is around here. So I'm going to give myself a few tail frames so that I have extra frames to work with. And what I want to do now is I want to move my composition to full, and I want to double click on the layer that I trimmed so that I can go ahead and start painting the actual effect that the little lines going around, the scribbles going around the character. So with that done, I am going to move to the beginning point of that layer by pressing the I key on the keyboard. You'll notice that it jumps to the beginning. And I am going to get started doing the painting in the layer window. Remember, I am in the layer window. So to do so, I'm going to switch my tool to the brush tool. Control B is the shortcut for that. And then I want to make sure under the paint control panel, if it's not open, you can always go to Window, Paint. If it should open automatically, but if it doesn't, then you can just go ahead and open it by going under Window, Paint, and then you can go ahead and resize and work with the brush to the size that you want. Either you do it by the numbers here, or you can do it dynamically in the composition by pressing the Control key. Remember, if I press the Control key and I push up on my mouse, the brush gets bigger. If I go down with my mouse, the brush size will get smaller. Okay. I also can change the flow and the opacity of the brush to create different effects. This works really well with a Wacom tablet or a device like that where you actually can use a pen. It gives you a lot more flexibility on drawing. I am working with a mouse, so I'm going to be limited to what I can do through the mouse, basically to my ability to work with that mouse. The second thing that you need to keep in mind is that for the duration portion of that paint tool, you need to make sure that you select single frame. Constant will be something that you draw and it will remain for the length of the animation of whatever you have selected as the video. So it will just be one constant presence as soon as you draw it. It's almost like you're drawing an overlay that remains for the length of the video. Right on will appear as you move on from frame to frame, and single frame will allow you to create what basically amounts to almost rotoscoping or a single frame animation. So with that said, I am going to switch to single frame, and I am going to start drawing my scribble right here. I'm going to make my brush slightly smaller. So I'm going to start at this point, and I'm going to draw there. Then I'm going to use my page down button on my keyboard to move one frame at a time and draw as I progress, trying to follow the position where I stopped painting on the previous frame. Like I said, it is something that takes practice to get right, and it's something that you're not going to be able to do properly on the first pass. So do not get frustrated. This is something that you will have to practice and do several times until you get it correct. It is not unheard of when using this technique to spend 10 hours to work on a 30-second clip or something like that, because as you can see, you're basically working frame by frame. And so to get it right, you're going to spend a lot of time basically to get it correct, to get it to look smooth. That said, you get a lot of bang for your buck as you're working on this particular effect. because it gives you fairly quick results as you progress down the video, especially if you use reference points within the video. So as you can see, I'm looking for specific points within his shirt, curvature of items, you know, folds on the clothing, things like that, that can guide me to do the, to start my next phase of the drawing at a place that makes it look continuous as I keep on drawing. I just noticed that this brush is quite thick, but for the purposes of this video, this should work just fine. Let me go ahead and complete this right here. I'm gonna finish the drawing around his shoe. And you see how we're doing. Remember that persistence of vision is what helps us when we're doing animations on video. That's where he lands, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that spot right here. I'm gonna change the size of my brush ever so slightly. I'm gonna make it smaller. Too small. Okay. We make it 6 points. And I'm gonna go ahead and draw kind of like a circle around the wheels. Then page down. Remember where I did that? Increase the size of that circle slightly. Increase it even more. And then at that point, it sort of starts breaking apart. Ever so larger. Okay. Even more separated and even bigger. Circle being slightly bigger. Boom, boom. And then for the final one, I'm going to make it rather small, but even more separated. So page down. And then just a couple. This one's floating around. So basically my animation looks like that towards the end. Boom. Okay. So with that done, what I want to do is once I have completed this exercise over here, what I want to do is I want to go to my effects controls window and I want to make sure that I select paint on transparent. That way all I see is the drawing that I've created. At this point, I can go ahead and go back to my composition window so that I can see what the results are on the actual window. And I can see that my animation, let me go ahead and do a quick render from this point to this point, just to see what that looks like. And what we did in class is to enhance, instead of having the red line going around the person or around the character, what we did is we started changing the color of that. So for that, to change the color of that paint effect, I want to add a, I think I used a fill effect during class. And so I'll just go ahead and drag fill onto the stack. And I will change the color to something like that burnt orange. And so that you can barely see it, but it's more visible when he lands. You see the effect more when he lands because I'm not competing against that white anymore. And then on top of this, I believe I added a, I want to say we added a stylized filter. I think we added brush strokes, if I'm not mistaken, to make it look a little bit like fire flames, a little bit kind of like what brush strokes would do for you in Photoshop. You can go ahead and increase the size of those brush strokes if you want to get different effects. They're all keyframeable, so you can go ahead and change that according to how you've worked with this filter in After Effects. And then the final thing I added was glow, if I'm not mistaken. So you can go ahead and drop glow into that. And then with glow, you can go ahead and change both the A and B colors for the glow itself. You can change the length of the radius of the glow to make it more intense or less intense, depending on how much you want that glow to extend. Funny enough, this works semi-backwards, and that is the larger the radius of the glow, the more dim the glow is going to look, because you're expanding the feathering of the actual glow. So be careful with how you work with those numbers. You also can increase the intensity of the glow if you so choose, and you have the option of working with different colors. So you can go ahead and choose either the original colors, which is what you see here, or you can pick your own colors, or you can create different formats for the actual glow. So it's you have flexibility as to how that shows in the video. The good thing about this is that you don't have to be married to that specific yellow. So if you don't like that yellow, you want it to change, you can go ahead and start playing around with the colors until you get what, you know, satisfies what the effect that you're trying to look for. So let me go for a lighter yellow, maybe something like this. And let's render that back again. And there it is. It looks like electric current going around the character. And then when he sticks the landing, boom, there it is. Now, glow works a lot better, obviously, when you have darker backgrounds. Since everything is pretty lit here, then we have a problem of seeing that very last piece of the animation, but you can see it. Now, if I change that to red, then we should see this a little bit more clear. There it is. And that is how you create the effect, the paint effect, to create the glow and scribbles that we saw in class. I hope this helps.